So Assassin's Creed just came out this past week, and I am super excited about this franchise. I have been a long-time fan. I've been playing Assassin's Creed since they came out with Part 1. So today I'm doing a build around the Spear of Leonidas. Woo! Alright guys, so here it is. Here is the Spear of Leonidas that was 3D printed. Really pleased at how this came out. It happens to be very light compared to some of the other weapons I have made. I printed at 100% infill, and this one I printed at 50% infill, which I get into more detail later on in the video, but this happened to come out very light. As always, let's jump into the process and how I completed this build. So I started off by modeling this in Cinema 4D. I saw the images when they had first dropped the trailer for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. At the time that the trailer dropped, there were really no reference pictures out. So I was grabbing screen captures from the trailer, from the very first trailer, and modeling based off of that. I just kind of based my measurements off of body proportions and how it was scaled to the character, but that in itself was a task because there were multiple shots and it looked like it was bigger, looked like it was smaller. So I really didn't know where to go, and I kind of modeled it and just left it alone. So fast forward to this month, and I decided to revisit the model. So by this time there was information online in terms of dimensions, and I based my dimensions off of, I believe GameStop is coming out with an exclusive Spear Leonidas. So I based my measurements off of that, and it seems pretty accurate. So I'm pretty pleased with the dimensions that I went with for the Spear. So I went back, I remodeled, exported everything out as an STL, and then I went ahead and printed it. So I printed this on the Atom 2.5 in IC3D's PETG, and it printed beautifully. So I had to print it twice because the first time I printed it, I noticed that the blade was too short. So I went back in the 3D program and I just extended the blade just a little bit longer. So once I had everything off the bed, I did some pre-work that I didn't capture. So basically what I did was I glued everything together. As I was modeling this, I put room for a wooden dowel to fit in here so that there would be some stability to it. And I went ahead and glued everything in. And then I did have a little problem around the base of the top of the spear here. And what I did was I just filled that in with some epoxy putty. In terms of the sanding process, as always, I start off with 100 grit, move all the way up to 2000. I didn't wet sand this. I didn't feel that it was necessary. In between coats of sanding, of course, I used primer filler, and that helped with getting rid of the print lines. Now the PETG I like a lot, and the reason why I like it a lot because it sands so much easier than PLA. Actually, this is the first weapon that I printed in PETG, and the reason why I did, I wanted to see how good it would stand in some of the detail areas, and it did fantastic. So I hit it with one final coat of primer, and then it was time for painting. Prior to spraying the chrome, I sprayed a base coat of black gloss and then applied the Alclad chrome over that. The blade came out too shiny, came out too clean, so I went back and I covered it with aqua gloss, and that dulled down the shine and gave me the look that I was going for. So once everything was dry, I masked off the entire blade except for the middle, and then I hit it with Alclad's Mirror Gold. Then I hit that with some aqua gloss as well to dull down the shine. Once that was done and everything was dried, I moved on to the handle. So for the handle, I sanded the handle just a little bit, just to kind of make it smooth. I really didn't need to because I knew I was going to cover this in leather. But what I did do is I took 60 grit sandpaper and I just ran it along the handle because I wanted to give it like a texture, because I believe this is supposed to be made out of wood. So after I ran over it with the sandpaper, I just used a hand brush and painted it with some brown acrylic, and I went back in with about 2 different colors of browns and just dry brushed it over to kind of give it that wood looking texture. It came out really dark. I knew I wasn't going to cover it, so I didn't spend too much time on the handle. Then I cut a strip of leather and I used contact cement and glued that to the handle. I also wrapped this leather rope at the bottom here as well, and I weathered the entire handle. So the prop that I saw that GameStop is selling had like this chrome bottom. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like metal or if the handle's supposed to be metal. It's really confusing. But anyway, I painted this at the bottom here with a hand brush using Model Masters Chrome, and I like the way it looks. It came out pretty cool. In terms of weathering the actual spearhead, I used the airbrush and I just put some black acrylic paint in it and just airbrushed in the detail areas, and I held the airbrush from a distance and I just sprayed it very lightly over the entire blade, and it gave it like a nice weathered look. It's not too much and it's just enough to make it look like it's been used. And then I went in and I sprayed in some of the scratch marks. Oh, what I did forget is prior to adding the final coat of primer, I did take a Dremel and added scratch marks in the blade to kind of make it look like it was used and dinged up throughout the years. So all in all, I am happy at how this blade came out. Again, it is very light. At some point, I'm gonna make some hooks so that it can hang on the wall in this manner. But that's to come later on. I probably won't do a video on that. I just need space. I don't want this on the floor because I have some of my other weapons on the floor. Again, I'm running out of room, guys. Spare Leonidas, super happy I came out. Hopefully I can get my hands on the game so I can play it. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I love the game. I think that's one of the only games that I actually finished. So here's the thing, I used to buy a lot of games. Now I don't. I just don't have the time to sit down and play them. But this is one that I do have my eyes set on. If I don't get this game, then I'll be 2 games behind. Totally missed out on Origins, so I'm hoping to get my hands on that. And then I'm definitely going to try and get my hands on Odyssey. So before I end this video, I'd like to thank IC3D. I have my IC3D shirt on today. So I'd like to thank them for providing the PETG for this build. Also, there'll be a link in the description. Check out the Atom 2.5. This printer has become one of my favorite printers. So if you have a minute, check out their website, check out their product. Wonderful machine. Also, I am on Patreon, and if you want to download this file, you can head over to my Patreon and become a patron, and you can download this file. I have been uploading files every month for all my patrons. And speaking of patrons, thank you to all my patrons that support this channel, that support me and these videos. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to keep this YouTube channel running. So thank you so much for supporting me and supporting these videos. So as usual, if you want to keep up to date with the projects that I'm working on, you can follow me on Twitter at TheBrokenNerd83, or you can follow me on Instagram at TheBrokenNerd83. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel, for watching the content that I put out. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, peace and love. God bless.